This video was shot before the latest OGL news.
Never take our D&D! I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
And I'm Nerdarchy Dave.
Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds. Alright, so what are we going to talk about today?
Alright, so today we're going to be discussing the OGL, and we had several points that we want to make on it. This video may run a little bit long, folks, so my apologies in advance.
So first off, we're going to, break this down. Why haven't we talked about the OGL yet?
We're going to also go into how do we feel about the OGL, its various iterations that we've already seen.
The other resources out there and why they are important.
And then, last but not least, our final thoughts on it.
All right, so first off, why haven't we talked about the OGL yet?
Well, so one of the reasons why we haven't talked about the OGL yet is the fact that, this newsy stuff and very timely stuff is not our forte. Literally, we've shot this video once before, and something new came out that very day.
So the fact that we do videos the way we do them, it takes time for us to kind of sit there and workshop our thoughts and ideas so that we can kind of present them in a nice order. Then we have to record them. It goes to an editor. The editor sends it back. We review it before it finally gets scheduled and then finally posted.
In addition to that, we send stuff out to an editor, right? So it takes time for that to come back to us. If we shoot a video on Thursday, we might be able to get that video up the following Friday, right? Like, it just takes time. So we're not really good at doing that.
And let's face it, because of that, that timeliness, there's other people who are out there and getting it up faster and sometimes even better.
So we didn't start off Nerdarchy to really report news about what's going on with RPGs and D&D. Although, we do that sometimes, but for the most part, we just like discussing the game and the various games that we play.
And I will say that there was a time frame back in the day, because I know there's some, longtime fans out there say, but what about, news, views, and homebrews, which used to be a whole tagline we were doing, but that whole change in timeliness thing, like, we moved away from that. So while we will occasionally, report on things, it's not timely enough to really get out there as fast as we would like.
Yeah, and I would say, too, like, even then, we didn't do a ton of real newsy stuff. Occasionally, we would do it.
And then, of course, there's the big one of, does it really affect our viewers? A lot of the OGL that's out there is really affecting those that are creators, the people that are creating stuff. And while, yes, I know that there's some content creators that do watch us, it's not the majority of you find folks that are out there. If you just want to play and absorb the game, the OGL really doesn't affect, a lot of your day-to-day gaming.
Yeah, I would say probably 60-70% of, the average D&D player just doesn't care about the OGL. It doesn't really affect them. They might not even buy third-party products at all. Some GMs don't even allow it in their game. But that being said, it doesn't mean that we don't think it's important. Obviously it affects us directly. So it is important, but we're also trying to cater to our audience and give them, what they come to the Nerdarchy channel for.
All right, so I guess we'll get into the, the crux of this. How do we feel about the OGL and how it affects us?
Well, sir, I don't like it, to quote a semi-famous horse.
Yeah, there's a lot that's going on. And while we're still dealing with, we don't have an official thing, and we talked about on one of our, recent live chats that we were going to kind of hold back, waiting for the official drop, the official release, let a lawyer take a look at it. There's just not anything official to get in there, but we didn't want to just keep quiet and make everyone think that we're completely okay with everything that's going on.
Or worse, that we signed, some kind of contract with Wizards of the Coast. They not only did we not sign it, they did not send it to us. They barely know it exists.
So it absolutely, can affect us depending upon which way they go. There's been some backstepping or what have you on how it's all kind of come out through some of the, recent statements and what have you. But it could affect, us directly and the business model because, while we do like making this content for you out there, we are trying to make this a business and, make this be profitable so that we can continue doing this and have a whole lot of fun with it.
So here's like one of the caveats, right? One of the dirty little secrets of the industry and what we do as YouTubers and D&D content creators is when you have a business based off of someone else's business, you have no control. It's not yours. They were letting you use it, and they can change that at any time, or at least they can try to, depending, even just being YouTubers, right? Like, we operate on someone else's platform. They can just tell us at any moment, no, you don't anymore. They can demonetize us. They can make us go away from this platform. We don't own it. It's why we've always had a website. It's the only thing that we actually own. And unfortunately, basing your business off of someone else's business is not a great business model. We've been slowly working towards changing that and branching out in other directions. We had made a push at the end of 2019 that didn't work out for us. We were going to do a live event company right before the pandemic. Apparently, the timing was off. And since then, we've kind of lost the momentum for doing that. So we've always understood that it's not a great business model to begin with. And it may be hard to hear, but if you're a third-party D&D content creator, like you have a responsibility here, and you have to, you kind of have to understand your own culpability in this process by doing that, right? And it sucks, but it's the hard, fast truth that we are dealing with right now.
So when we look at it, YouTube is owned by somebody else, D&D is owned by someone else, Patreon is owned by somebody else. So like all of these things are not within our control. So having that website, that's a great way to, kind of keep what's ours. So moving on, like what other resources are out there and why are they important?
There's tons of people that have been covering this on YouTube. Dungeon Craft with Professor Dungeon Master. You have D&D Shorts, and you also have Nerd Immersion.
There's the DM Lair as well as Legal Eagle, and there's so many more, great content creators out there. I'm certain we could sit here for the next 10 minutes and, list a whole bunch of people that are talking about all of this stuff that's going on.
Yeah, so they're putting out tons of content, and they're doing it in a very timely manner. Some of them have like umpteen videos by this point that you can go look at, and they give the breakdowns of it. So by all means, go check them out if you want to know more.
So Paizo has started its whole orc movement. They're working on that. MCDM is, kind of secretly talking about their own project that's out there.
Or not so secretly.
And then Kobold Press has started the Project Black Flag movement. So there's all these companies that are well known in the industry that have like, all right, our go-to reaction to that initial leak is, well, I'm going to move in this direction now so that I have some secure future.
Yeah, and we know that some of these have already been working on their own projects anyway, because you know what? We already mentioned it's no dirty secret that when you make something based off of someone else's company, you're always going to be stuck dealing with the whims of that company, right? So it just makes smart business sense to not 100% have all your eggs in that same basket. Also, the ORC, I believe it stands for Open RPG Creatives.
So there's also Gizmodo and other articles that are out there.
Yeah, so there's tons of websites that are putting out newsy type stuff on this, and article after article, Gizmodo, IO9, and probably many more that you can go. I'm sure if you just do a Google search, you're gonna look at tons of these resources to keep you up to date with what's going on with OGL.
So why do we feel what all of these people are doing is important, and why do we support it?
So, they're on the front lines. They're getting out the information, letting people know what's going on. So if this is a thing that affects you and bothers you, that you can have, the resources at your fingertips in order to act appropriately for what you think you need to do.
That's a great thing. I think it's, very important to be able to be informed so that you can make the proper choice. I mean, there's some people out there who, have made very radical statements online. There's people who have decided, I'm done with this. I don't feel this is right. And so whatever is the appropriate decision for you and your table, by all means, you're the only one that can kind of make that call.
All right. So finally, let's get into our final thoughts, and how we feel about all these things.
So, I mean, looking at it, D&D was the first role-playing game that I ever played. I've been playing this game for over 30 years. I've been playing it for 20, 25 years with Dave. I have met countless people because of this hobby. Regardless of what goes on, I can't ever leave D&D. I might not give Wizards of the Coast any more money, though I strongly feel that they'll get it corrected in some way, shape, or form. But who knows? But I'm going to keep playing in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I mean, I mostly agree with you. I don't think they're going to fully correct it because they're seeing dollar signs and you know, I've seen other people that I really respect in the industry put out, you know, statements, and they're like, yeah, companies are going to company essentially. So I don't have as high of hopes there. I think they're going to fix some of the stuff, but ultimately they're really trying hard. I think anything that really gets resolved is probably going to happen in a courtroom.
And that's entirely possible. And, should that happen, that's absolutely going to be one of those things that is going to negatively impact the game. I mean, if Hasbro or Wizards or the combined get pulled into a courtroom, it's gonna get bad.
Well, and you know what? So right now we're just taking a wait and see posture, and maybe it needs to get bad before it can get better. Maybe we need some legal precedent to come down and be like, hey, you know what? You can say whatever you want, but you released this OGL 0.10. You can't deauthorize it. It exists forever. Strong possibility. There are some cases, existing legal cases that could affect this. I mean, there's open source has been a thing for a very long time, and they might just apply those same case studies to the OGL.
That would be fantastic. And I understand one aspect of like what the OGL is looking to do to, put a stamp down on anyone who might create something that is damaging to the brand or the hobby. But I want to take some of that somebody else's chunk, is definitely hurtful. So there's ways that our audience can show their displeasure towards, Wizards and, Hasbro. So what are some of the options?
All right. So first of all, like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to do. Like, if you want ways to show your displeasure, we're going to offer up some suggestions, some ideas, but by no means are we part of the D&D Be Gone hashtag crew. We would like them to fix what's going on, but we don't want D&D to actually go away. So there's a couple things. One, clearly they're looking at immediate data from D&D Beyond. So cancel your D&D Beyond subscription. That would let them know. Warning, though, you may lose some content of the free stuff they released that you've already gotten. So there is some risk to that if that's a consideration for you. Obviously, stop buying Wizards of the Coast products until they, until they decide that D&D is open is another way. You can go and fill out the survey on the D&D website. It's probably on D&D Beyond and probably the main website as well, but you can definitely find it out there. And there's also a petition that I think like 25,000 people have signed, started by Ryan Darcy, the originator of the OGL for 3rd edition.
So those are all great ways that you can get involved in this movement, should you so desire. It's ultimately going to be your call, as I kind of already pointed out there. It's all of our hobby, even though they own the company. The marketplace, the customers, the consumers have rights here, and if someone is trying to change what you already love, then, maybe it's time to make your voice heard.
So another thing, if you care about the OGL, then you probably care about third-party content creators, right? Third-party publishers, as we do, right? We happen to be them, so of course we do, right? But listen, right now, I know it's scary. You don't know what's going on, but right now, third-party publishers need your support more than ever. So go out there. If they have Patreons, support them on their Patreons, buy their products, whatever you can do to help them out, boost their signal. I'm sure they would really appreciate it.
There's plenty of great content out there to consume. You can see a lot of it, here on the shelf. So check that out. But moving aside from offering support, the other thing is to kind of keep the feedback we've offered in line. don't attack those people that are involved. Don't go after them on social media or via email and offer hate mail and abuse. Like, that's not going to produce anything productive. And a lot of the people that you're going to get a hold of aren't the ones that are responsible for what's going on. So, like, I've seen a lot of people having to, like, all right, I need to get off social media because all I'm seeing is just this backlash, and I had nothing to do with what's going on.
Yeah, and by those people, Nerdarchy Ted here means Wizards of the Coast employees and staff. For the most part, I have to believe the designers in particularly love the game like we do. They want to make the best game possible. Even if they're told to make a new edition and they love the edition they're in right now, I still think they set out to make the best game that they can possibly make. And they probably agree with most of us on the fact that D&D should stay open. But it's their job. Like anyone has a job, you have to do what your boss tells you. So they are not deserving of your ire and your wrath. Save it for those that are actually making the decisions.
The other thing is no matter what transpires, whatever this causes to happen, is they can take away the OGL. But they can't take away D&D.
They can take away our OGL, but they'll never take our D&D. Never take our D&D.
All right, I think that was a little over the top, Dave.
Listen, you're just looking to paint my face, all right?
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't get the woad. So, when you really look at it, we've been playing for a long time. We've got countless memories that is just, fantastic. Again, I said earlier in the video that I've met so many amazing people because of this hobby. So even if, things just go all to crap and D&D explodes, there's countless D&D books and countless things out there that can allow us to just keep playing this fantastic game. You don't need new products to make the game keep going.
We're going to keep playing 5e D&D unless we really like one D&D, but with the caveat, if we're not happy with Hasbro, there's a good possibility we're going to skip one D&D and continue playing 5e, maybe keep making D&D videos about 5e. And also, if we do decide to move into one D&D, and we're still maybe not happy with Hasbro, we're going to be sneaky about it, and we're going to use it to try and siphon those one D&D players away in order to get them to exposed to other RPGs. Maybe that's a tactic that we take. I don't know. We'll have to think about it. Like, that isn't in the future. But right now, we really like this edition of the game. There's things about 1D&D that we like and we haven't liked so far. But at the end of the day, too, we just might not want to support that particular company anymore.
All right, so in the OGL, there's the morality clause. And I kind of touched on it, from a positive aspect of, in that OGL, there are the thing of saying, we can shut you down saying, if we don't like what your message is or, the thing that you are proselytizing within your product, we can say no. So from its onset, if it's racist or bigoted, that they can say, sorry, I don't want this product out there. So
yeah, they don't want the D&D name attached to it.
Right. But there's another side.
There is another side, right? Like, I actually hate the morality clause, and without getting too political here, I'm kind of a free speech absolutist. And the reason why that is because eventually people that you don't like will be the ones probably judging what is appropriate and inappropriate speech, right? So it can be weaponized against you, even if there's a good intent when they put it out there. Like, obviously we hate Nazis and we don't want, that kind of stuff out in the world. But, if Wizards of the Coast has a morality clause, they can use it in other ways. And also, part of it is like things that are illegal. Well, it's legal to smoke weed some places, but not in other places. Homosexuality is legal in some places, but illegal in other places, right? Which laws are they going to look at, and what are they going to use these things for? So I'm very leery of giving a corporation a tool that they can use to shut down, the general populace or people that are making stuff. And they can use this one particular guise but do it for whatever reason they're really doing it for.
I'm completely against, all manner of hate speech and what have you. But when you look at what has been, leaked, the morality clause that's there, it's very ambiguous. So, like, they make the final decision. And according to what we've seen so far, is they don't need to give you what the reason is. They can just say, sorry, this falls under this, and it's done. And it's an open and shut case. There is no, let's put it up for review. So I understand from the one side, but I also understand from the other.
So last and not least, probably one of the most important things, they have to deauthorize the OGL 1.0 to make all of this happen for 5e anyway, right? Because with, you might still be able to use it for making stuff for 1D&D, but it'll be a little more difficult, depending on how backwards compatible things really are. This seems like this would give them an impetus to make it less backwards compatible. But that being said, I'm sure Paizo is going to challenge this as if other companies don't. So this is going to be a legal battle that's going to be fought out. And who knows what the courts might decide in the meantime. Do they grant like an injunction where like, the OGL is deauthorized temporarily, or it can't be deauthorized until it's all fought out in court and so it's still in effect, which could give us an even longer grace period. Who knows how that's going to play out? Time will tell. We're hoping that Wizards of the Coast will come to their senses. I should say Hasbro comes to their senses and fixes all of this. I do not have great faith in them. I think they're going to do whatever they think is best for their bottom line.
So if you enjoy Nerdarchy's content, you can always visit the store, support us on Patreon, show us some love, show us some support over there.
We'll put links to those things in the description and the pinned comment down below. Also, what do you guys think? What do you think of the OGL? What are your thoughts? Do you care? Is this going to affect your gaming table at all? What are some steps that you're taking one way or the other?
On your way down there, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, even go ahead and attune to that notification bell.
Quick reminder, we drop several new videos on the channel a week, so come on back. But you can't wait till then? No worries, we got you covered. Check out Will Nerdarchy sell out for 1D&D and Wizards of the Coast. Quick reminder, that comment we're answering in that video predates the OGL by about a month.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.